Hey everybody, Sick this year again to talk to you about what I bought and what I watched today. And today, headed out to my local Dollar Tree store where I got myself 20 titles on DVD. So let's take a look at everything I got. So like I said, I picked up all 20 of these titles today from my local Dollar Tree store because once again, Dollar Trees are getting in some great titles on DVD. Now, pretty much all these titles were complete blind buys. A few of them I have heard of and have looked at before, but really know nothing about any of these. So these are more or less all blind buys, but at $1 a piece, I figured why not pick them up? At the very worst, if any of these are bad, I only paid $1 for it, and that's a great deal. Definitely worth picking up some blind buys for only $1. So the first title here I grabbed was Missing in America. Now this here not only had a decent sounding synopsis, but it does star Danny Glover, and I do love Danny Glover. I think he's a fantastic actor, so definitely had to pick this one up. Then I grabbed The River King, and this also had a decent sounding synopsis, but really know nothing more about it than that, so I had to pick it up just to check it out. Next I picked up Ninja. Now this is a movie I have picked up and looked at before. See this one quite often actually for around $5 on Blu-ray, so I always think about picking it up, but the reviews for this aren't that great. It maybe looks a little cheesy, but not necessarily cheesy in a good way, so I've always passed up on it. But at the same time, I've always been somewhat interested in seeing it, so for $1, figured I would definitely pick it up and finally check this one out. Then I grabbed The Perfect Witness. This gets decent reviews online. The synopsis also sounded somewhat interesting, so again, for $1, had to grab it. Next I picked up Mayor of the Sunset Strip. Seems to be a decent documentary, also gets pretty good reviews, so for $1, this was definitely something I wanted to grab. Then I grabbed Relative Strangers. Now this here's another title that I have picked up before, I have looked at. Thought it seemed somewhat interesting. It sounds like it has a decent sounding synopsis. Also has a pretty decent cast. But for whatever reason, I've always passed up on it. So today, for only $1, finally had to grab it. Then I grabbed Leo. Now surprisingly, this is the one title that I actually almost passed up on. Picked it up, thought, doesn't really look all that interesting. I'm not going to get it. But for whatever reason, decided to look up reviews actually on Amazon, and this gets the best reviews out of all 20 titles I picked up today, so kind of glad I looked up reviews. Again, I really have no idea if I'm going to like this, if it's necessarily going to be anything I want to check out, but with the reviews it got, for $1, figured I'd grab it. Then I picked up King of California. This here, once again, is another title that I have picked up before, I have looked at, thought it sounded somewhat interesting, has a decent cast, but again, always passed up on it, so definitely had to pick it up today. Then I grabbed The Kovac Box, another title that gets decent reviews, has an interesting sounding synopsis, so I definitely want to pick it up. Then I grabbed A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. What drew me to this one was the cast. You have a really good lineup. As far as reviews go, it does get pretty decent reviews, so again, for $1, definitely had to pick it up. Then I picked up A Gentleman's Game. Now, I do tend to really enjoy golf movies for whatever reason. I'm not really into golf. I have really no interest in golf at all. But golf movies always tend to interest me, so had to grab this one. Then I picked up Faces in the Crowd. Once again, a movie that gets decent reviews. Not the best reviews on this movie, but it did look somewhat interesting, and at the very least, I only wasted $1. Then I also had to grab Epicenter. Now, this looks pretty cheesy. The reviews for this are also not all that great, but for $1, a disaster movie, definitely something I wanted to pick up, and I actually am pretty interested in checking out. The next two titles I picked up were both Dolph Lundgren titles, and I have not seen a single one of Dolph Lundgren's newer movies. Really enjoy his great cheeseball 80s films. I really liked him in The Expendables. Thought that was a great movie as well. Both of them were both Expendables and Expendables 2. Both fantastic movies. However, I have not seen a single one of his newer films. Just never got around to seeing any of them. I have no idea if they're going to be any good or not, but for $1 a piece, definitely had to pick these up. First one I got here was Direct Contact. It's Dolph Lundgren, it's $1, I was picking it up. And the same thing here goes for Command Performance. Next I grabbed Contaminated Man. Just the name alone made me get this. It just sounds really cheesy, but I love cheese, so I definitely had to pick this one up, and this is probably going to be one of the first ones I watch, because this just sounds really interesting. Then I grabbed Across the Tracks. Now, this actually does star Rick Schroder and Brad Pitt, which is what drew me to this, and I'd say out of all the movies I picked up today, this is probably the one that just seems like the one I'm going to enjoy the most. It just seems to be a kind of a great 80s movie. gets pretty decent reviews, so I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. Then this movie here I've actually been thinking about getting for a while now. That is Ash Wednesday. This one I come across quite often at flea markets, pawn shops, thrift stores. I always pick this one up, always think about getting it, but never grab it. So for $1, definitely had to add this to the collection today. Then I picked up 10 Items or Less. This is a movie I have heard about. I remember when it first came out, I heard some decent reviews on it. So I had thought about possibly seeing this movie, but never got around to it. So for $1, definitely had to pick it up, and I'm definitely going to check this one out real soon. And finally, the last time I picked up was Shadow and Lies. Just had an interesting sounding synopsis, gets decent reviews, definitely had to grab it. But that actually was not all I got today. I actually met up with my friend today at the mall, and we decided to exchange Christmas presents today, and what he got me was The Simpsons, the complete 15th season. I love The Simpsons. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the newer seasons, but I still really enjoy them. Yeah, they're not nearly as good as the original seasons, but they're still a great watch. I'm still a huge Simpsons fan. I do have all the seasons that were out before this one, so I definitely wanted to get this, and I'm very happy that he picked this up for me. So that's it for what I bought today, so now onto what I watched. And today I checked out Elf. This year's one I do tend to watch every single holiday season, as I do feel this is a modern-day holiday classic. I fell in love with this movie ever since I first saw it in the theaters. I think it is just great. It's very funny, has a great kind of heartfelt, really warm holiday feeling at the end. Just a great all-around holiday movie. Will Ferrell is great in it. I find him to be very funny, though, yeah, possibly annoying at times, but his annoyance kind of works in this movie as opposed to some other movies he's in because of his character. His elf character in this movie is supposed to be a bit dim-witted. He comes from the North Pole. He's used to that society. He comes to New York, and he's supposed to be really out of place, very dim-witted, very annoying. That's his character. He's not used to typical New York society. He's used to North Pole elf society where everybody's really happy and jolly and really into Christmas and just very naive when it comes to the modern world. So his character for me really did work, even though I know that some people, you're probably going to find it really annoying, but I enjoyed him. I found him very, very funny. I don't have too much more to say about this movie, though. It's just, I can't really go into this movie. I don't want to give away the plot, and that's what I'd be doing if I'm really talking about this movie anymore. I'm just going to sit here and describe the entire movie to you, and I don't want to do that. I do not want to ruin this movie. It's a great holiday movie that I would definitely recommend checking out. This has a great cast. I mean, we're talking Zooey Deschanel, Mary Steenburgen, James Caan, Bob Newhart. I mean, just a fantastic lineup. Some great actors in this movie. So I would definitely recommend checking this one out. Again, it is a holiday classic, definitely a modern holiday classic. I love it. Great holiday movie. Definitely see this one. So that's it for what I bought and what I watched today. Definitely excited about the 20 titles I picked up today from our local Dollar Tree store. Definitely looking forward to checking those out. And like I said, they were all blind buys, but at $1 a piece, I figured that was a really safe bet, because if I don't like some of them, well, I only wasted $1. Not a bad deal. And also getting The Simpsons, a complete 15th season for my friend today for Christmas. That was a great present. Definitely looking forward to sitting down and watching all those great and classic episodes. And also checking out Elf. Like I said, it's a modern holiday classic. I would highly recommend it if you are a Will Ferrell fan. If you're not, then you probably want to stay away from it, but I would definitely recommend it. It's a great Christmas story, has a great warm Christmas feeling at the end. Definitely something I would recommend checking out. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned to see what I bought when I watch tomorrow. See ya.